All right, we are live. It is 8:55. I'm going to actually step away from the camera here momentarily, and I will be back to start right at 8 o'clock sharp. So I will be back. All right, it is 7:59. We will just get started here in one more moment. All right, it is now 8 o'clock, so let's get rolling here. All right, so hello everyone and happy Monday. I hope you all had, well, actually, it's not Monday. Hello everyone and happy Wednesday. I hope that your hump day has gone good so far, and I hope you've had a great week. So I have nothing really administrative to mention. We had a couple questions submitted. I did want to say that I have the Q&A app turned on the side of the Hangout, which is on the right-hand side. Please make sure that you ask any questions as soon as possible because there is a delay between when you ask them and when I see them pop up. So what I'll do is I'll go through the questions that have already been asked, and then at the end I'll check and see if there are any pending unanswered questions, and I'll answer them. All right, so let's get rolling. Our first question comes from Jasmine. Jasmine asks, how did you fit your weight loss into your family life? I don't feel like explaining anything to anyone, although my girls did watch one of your Hangouts with me. Sometimes I feel like I want their verbal support. Jasmine, this is such an amazing question that I wanted to record a video just answering this question, which I may do in the future. And I may even write about it as a topic because it's not something I see too many people discussing. Other coaches, people in the fitness industry talk about what you do for yourself, and that it's okay to be selfish to do things for yourself, but they don't really talk about how that falls in the plan with your family life. Sure, some people talk about things like, you know, what to do at a family dinner, but as far as your immediate family, if you have a significant other or children, how that actually fits into their lives too. Because you know, it's your home life, it kind of matters that everyone is understanding what's going on. So thank you for asking it. This is a great question. I don't think you need to explain the specifics of the weight loss, like calorie tracking, all the habits you're learning, you know, weigh-ins, measurements, that type of stuff. But in my experience, giving your kids, your significant other, and even your extended family some basics of healthy living is the best way to recruit their support, provide them some benefit, and possibly provide an opportunity for them to live their own lives. So, for example, since my kids were born before they could even talk, I would explain to them why it's important to eat your vegetables, eat your fruit, get your protein in, get your fiber to feel full. You know, just feeding kids like whatever smushed peas, canned, you know, baby food or whatever. I would just talk to them about that stuff. I would and still do tell them what the macronutrients are and what they do. So I say, you know, simplify it for their age groups. My daughter's 6.5 and my son is 4, so they know that protein helps your muscles recover and grow stronger. They know that fruits and vegetables give you vitamins and minerals, which are in charge of making you feel good, helping you basically feel good head to toe and get everything you need to be healthy. And that the fiber in them, if you ask my kids, they'd say it helps you poop, which is important. And you know, getting the right nutrients help you sleep better. And in the fruit and vegetables, there are foods like bread, corn, etc., carbs essentially, that are sources of energy, and you sugar, and you need that energy for your brain to work as well. So they understand that. So while my kids obviously see me measuring out my food and they've asked about it before, that's not something that I do for them at all. You know, they don't weigh or measure their portions. They have what I would consider a healthy relationship with food and proper portion sizes. We let them eat till they're hungry, but they also understand that looking at a plate, that plants need to take up more than half of your plate, and that things like cookies and ice cream and treats are sometimes foods, and that these foods make us taste, they may taste good to us, but they don't really provide very much of what our body actually needs to feel good, to get bigger, to get stronger, to help them grow, and to get smarter through school and have enough energy mentally to learn things. You know, those types of things like cookies and ice cream, etc. They are food, but we tend to look at things as not as what can we take away for better health, but what can we add. And when we add things to what we're eating, some things naturally we eat, you know, far less of. And they do understand that at their ages. So that's generally how that goes. If someone has a specific situation they'd like me to speak to, I can certainly do that. I toyed with the idea of having them on the Hangout and asking them those questions, like what does protein do, what does fiber do? But it's a little bit past their bedtime and they're cranky, so they're not going to make their Hangout debut tonight. Sorry. But anyways, on to the second question. And this is something that's been asked separately by multiple people over the past week. So I figured it would be a good opportunity to bring it up. And that's in regard to eating breakfast. And expanding that concept to be a little bit more general, that meaning meal timing and the number of meals you eat. So does that matter, essentially, is the question. So I'm gonna go into two of this. More of a coffee drinker till 1 p.m. type person. I drink water and coffee, from the morning until like noon or 1 p.m. Went on to say that when she does force herself to eat regularly, she has more energy and feels better throughout the day as a result. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I don't actually eat anything until like 12:30, 1 p.m. myself. I only recommend skipping breakfast if you don't have any issues getting your protein and fiber in during a smaller eating window. If you've ever looked at my MyFitnessPal diary, I often eat lunches that are well above 75 grams of protein. And even in such a small eating window, I eat between 1 and 9. So an 8-hour eating window, I have no problem getting 225 grams plus protein, as well as normally 50 to 60 grams of fiber. It's not a problem for me whatsoever. So if you're struggling to hit your protein goal or your fiber goal or both, to start with, you're not making it any easier by skipping breakfast. You're actually making it more difficult. The more you spread your meals out, the easier it will be to focus on protein and fiber at each meal. But if you're waiting until a small eating window and you're not used to eating larger amounts of protein and fiber, you're just not going to make your goals. You're really fighting the tide on that one. So it's easier to split it up into smaller meals. So in general, though, the number of meals you have and when you eat them does not really matter. There's no benefit that you could say applies to everyone for doing it one way or the other. And this is in the context of fat loss. There may be some benefits if you're trying to gain weight or gain muscle to not skipping breakfast, to eating breakfast. But that's really not the context of, this hangout. In general, the context of the hangouts are going to be about fat loss and the habits behind them. So meeting your calories and nutrition targets are going to have a far greater impact on your goals than anything else. Meal timing and the number of meals are way down on the hierarchy of importance. Number 1 is going to be your calories. Number 2 is going to be your protein and fiber. And it goes without saying, food quality to reach those targets plays a big role in your health. While the quality of the food doesn't matter so much as to actually cause fat loss, the quality of the food does impact your health, both in the short term and the long term. Yes, you can lose weight if you eat only Twinkies. However, you may be doing yourself damage in the long term health-wise doing so. And that's an extreme example, but someone has done that where they simply ate nothing but Twinkies for a month and lost weight. So what's more important than optimal meal timing or frequency is how you feel as a result of your current choices. So say, for example, with Melissa's case, she doesn't feel great in the morning when she's doing the eating, but as a result of that, she feels better after that. She has more energy throughout the day. So I'm going to say that there's a hidden benefit there in that even though that she's uncomfortable eating so much earlier in the morning, she feels better because of it. So the reason for that is that your body has a hormone called ghrelin. When I talk to other people that are not so much into the specifics of human hormones, they just call it gremlins, which may be an apt nickname for it. So ghrelin is what makes you hungry. at set periods of the day. It responds to routine. So if you're used to eating breakfast, ghrelin is what makes you hungry when you wake up. If you're used to not eating breakfast, ghrelin is what makes you hungry when your body expects your first meal. So if you eat breakfast for enough days in a row after not eating breakfast for a long time, you will have a change in your hormones that you'll accept the new mealtime in place of the old one. And you won't feel like crap. So it's hard to say exactly how many days that's going to take for each person because it's different for everyone. For me, I went from eating breakfast for my entire life to skipping breakfast entirely. And it took me at least 2 weeks to the point where I stopped being hangry all the time as a result. So now I'm able to move in and out of that, meaning I can eat breakfast on a weekend, going out to breakfast with the family for pancakes or whatever, and then I can immediately switch back into not eating breakfast on a Monday with minimal to no impact on my mood or hunger levels. It's basically I'm primed to accept that as the new pattern, and that is based on hormones. So that's something to consider. Is in Melissa's case, she was saying that she doesn't feel good right away, but she has more energy. So that's a clue to me to say, if you're getting more energy out of this and you're having trouble meeting your macros, if you over time get used to eating breakfast, that feeling of being heavy and not feeling great from the food will go away and you'll still reap the benefits of additional energy, as opposed to what's happening now is skipping breakfast, not having that bad feeling, running low on energy, and then making what you could say would be not optimal food choices and have trouble meeting your goals as a result of that. So basically you're changing your metabolism to kind of match your routine, but your body has to catch up. So you can't just change your body's routine as far as food and the role of metabolism overnight and expect there not to be any consequences. So it does take time to adapt. The good news is that it will adapt over time, but that time frame is going to differ person to person. Like I said, mine was about 2 weeks. This is kind of an aside. Changing your carb levels are the same way. If you were to cut out all the carbs, let's say under 25 grams of carbs in a day, you would feel like crap and feel like you had the flu for 1 to 2 weeks. And once you become adapted to that, you'll feel fine. In fact, you may feel more energetic than you did when you were eating carbs before you started. That's very possible. That's just an adaptation period that doesn't happen overnight and takes time. Once you have that adaptation, I've found in my experience, you can do the same thing. You can switch in and out of those modes much easier after you've become adapted. So, all right. Our last pre-asked question comes from Ed, and Ed asks, is doing a light workout, say with a 15-pound kettlebell, on rest days an option? It's not affecting my progress with heavier weights during my regular workouts. Ed says he's not a runner, but he likes the cardio and he likes the calorie burn that he gets from a half an hour kettlebell workout here and there. So that's a great question, Ed. Thank you for asking it. I think if you found an activity like with a kettlebell that you actually enjoy and you want to do it on your non-lifting days, I'd say go for it. I'm not against cardio at all. I'm against doing things that you hate for no reason. There are better ways to expend energy and burn calories than sitting on a treadmill or a bike and hating every second of it. There's no reason to do something you hate. Life is too short. Go and enjoy it. If you enjoy the kettlebell workout, go for it. Do it as often as you like. Like you're already keeping a close eye on if it's affecting your other lifting, so that's good. I'd say not really worry about that too much and go for it. The one thing that I'd ask is that you try to separate activities mentally from their calorie burn. I'm hoping that you avoid the mentality of looking at activities, their value being how many calories they burn. And we just kind of want to disassociate activities from being a calorie burn. And that's just whole part of the mentality of people tend to, I'm not saying you would do this, but in general, people tend to think, okay, this activity burns the most calories, so I'm going to go real hard and do this activity so much for like 2 hours, and I'm going to burn all these calories, and that's going to speed up my weight loss. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Your body, like we said, adapts, but it doesn't adapt overnight. So eventually, over time, you're going to be adapted to get the same benefit. You're going to have to increase something, be it the resistance, the amount of time you spend, etc. And that's why normally for people, I recommend that they start walking, brisk walks every day if possible, and some type of resistance workout, because the brief walking is going to give you the benefit of clearing your head and helping with your digestion and just getting some more activity in. but it's not something you need to continuously improve upon to enjoy it. Weightlifting has the ability that it cannot increase in time, meaning you can spend a half an hour every other day doing it. And if you want to get better at it as your body adapts, you simply up the weight or up the number of reps, and it doesn't take any more time. Things like running, once you become adapted to your current level of running, you have to either run farther or harder, and that's a little bit more difficult as far as that goes. Something to keep in mind. So like I said, I just want to kind of separate the idea of this activity is good because it burns a lot of calories, and this activity is bad because it doesn't burn as many. We want to push that aside and really only worry about, is this activity going to help you towards your goal in some way, and do you love it? So don't do things you hate. All right, let's take a look here and see if we have any submitted questions. I don't see any here. So if you notice, I have a new backdrop here, just kind of moving things around in our living room, and a new dining room table that my wife made. That's really tall. It's like a pub height table. So I'm trying to figure out what the best place is to film for clarity and being able to hear me best. So let me know if you have any comments on that. But I'm not seeing any submitted questions, so we are going to, I'll give it one more moment here. I'm just going to check and see what I think would be the hangout would be next week. Just looking at my calendar here. Well, it'll be Monday or Wednesday, so we'll go from there. All right, since I don't see any further questions, actually, let me just check one more thing here. All right, I think we're all set. If another question pops up, as always, please ask me and I'll answer it for you, or we can save it for the next hangout. I hope everyone has a great night, great rest of their week, and hope you have a great weekend too. All right, take care.